Most people think the biggest risk in retirement is not saving enough, but that's not the real threat. The real danger is having plenty of money saved and watching it slowly vanish because your withdrawal plan couldn't keep up. You followed the rules, you took the safe route, you were told to stick to the 4% rule. But what no one told you is that retirement is full of unseen landmines, market crashes, inflation spikes, rising taxes, unexpected healthcare costs. And if your income plan isn't built to adapt, you may not know it's failing until it's too late to fix. That's why today I'm exposing the 4 terrifying reasons why most withdrawal plans fail and how you can build a strategy that lasts through age 95 and beyond. If you're new here, my name is Mark Wisniewski and I'm the president of Southern Incomes. We help individuals build retirement plans that are reliable, tax smart, and built to last. And today, I'm going to walk you through the 4 terrifying reasons most withdrawal plans fall apart, especially in your 70s, 80s, and even into your 90s. Because if you're using the wrong approach, you could be setting yourself up to fail at the one time in life you should feel the most secure. This video isn't about fear, it's about awareness and prevention, and I'll show you what to do instead. Let's dive in. Reason number 1, they assume the market will cooperate. Most traditional retirement withdrawal strategies are built on what looks like solid math. You take out your 4%, you adjust it for inflation, you should be fine over a 30-year retirement. Sounds simple, right? But here's the terrifying truth. Most of these plans assume the stock market will behave on average. In other words, they rely on the idea that the market will steadily go up over time, giving you that nice 6%, 7%, or 8% return every year like clockwork. But markets don't work that way ever. Returns don't come in a straight line. They're unpredictable and lumpy and sometimes brutal in those early years of retirement. This leads to what's known as sequence of return risk, and it's one of the biggest threats to your retirement income. Here's what that means in simple terms. If you experience poor market performance in the first years after you retire, when you're actively pulling money from your portfolio, that damage compounds fast because you're withdrawing from a shrinking balance. You're locking in losses and reducing your ability to recover even when the market bounces back. The exact same portfolio that works just fine in one sequence of returns can completely collapse in another. 2 retirees with identical portfolios, withdrawal rates can have very different outcomes simply because of when they retired. Think about it. For example, someone who retired in 2000 saw a market crash followed by another in 2008. That's a brutal way to start retirement. On the other hand, someone who retired in 2010 experienced one of the largest bull markets in history. Same investment strategy, very different results. And most people don't even know that this risk exists until it's too late. That's why successful withdrawal planning isn't just about choosing a percentage, it's about creating a system that protects your income from those early losses. Smart retirees and advisors now use dynamic withdrawal strategies where income adjusts based on how the market performs. So you're never blindly withdrawing during downturns. Bottom line, you can't control the market, but you can control how you respond to it. Reason number 2, they don't plan for inflation the right way. Everyone says they're planning for inflation, but most people don't really understand how devastating it can be over 20 and 30 years of retirement. Here's the truth. It's not just about prices going up. It's about your purchasing power quietly disappearing. And if your withdrawal strategy isn't built to grow with your life, you're going to feel it big time. Let's say you retire at 65 and you're living comfortably on $80,000 a year. Now let's fast forward 20 years. If inflation averages just 3% per year, that's something that's historically very normal. You'll need about $145,000 to buy that exact same $80,000 worth of purchasing power. That's not luxury living, that's just keeping up. But most withdrawal plans don't grow your income like that. In fact, the most common strategy using a flat withdrawal rate like 4% usually stays stagnant or maybe increases way too slowly. This is a huge problem, especially for retirees who aren't spending consistently across their retirement years. Inflation isn't just a single number either. It impacts different parts of your life at different rates. Healthcare costs can rise at twice the rate of general inflation. Housing, insurance, and food, they're all subject to rapid changes. And high inflation years, like what we just saw recently, the impact is immediate and brutal. A lot of people think that they've solved for this by investing conservatively to avoid market losses. But guess what? That approach often underperforms inflation, meaning that your nest egg loses purchasing power even though it feels safe. Here's the kicker. If your plan doesn't include real inflation-adjusted growth, then every year you're spending money, that's worth less, while your lifestyle costs more. You won't notice it at first, but over time it adds up, and it's one of the silent killers of retirement income. The solution? Your withdrawal strategy needs to be built with flexibility and growth in mind. That means understanding how inflation impacts your spending patterns and choosing investments that can keep pace over time. Not just protect your money, but grow it smartly. Because it's not just about having money, it's about making sure that the money still works for you 10 and 20 and 30 years down the road. Reason number 3, they ignore the sequence of return risk. This one's a silent assassin, and it's a reason seemingly safe retirement plans fall apart within the first 5 to 10 years. It's called sequence of return risk. And if you don't know what that is, you're not alone, but you absolutely need to. Here's how it works. Let's say 2 retirees have the exact same portfolio and the exact same average return over 30 years. You'd think that they'd end up in the same place, right? Wrong. If one of them experiences market losses in the early years of retirement while they're actively withdrawing income, it can have a catastrophic impact because they're selling investments while the prices are low, locking in losses, and leaving less capital to recover from when the market rebounds. That early damage compounds over time. And what's even more terrifying, this could happen even if the market performs well over the long run. Let me give you a simple analogy. Imagine you're climbing a mountain and you trip and fall near the bottom. You have plenty of time to recover and still make your way up to the summit. But if you slip when you're halfway up on a steep ledge with nowhere to catch yourself, you might never get back on track. That's sequence risk in retirement. A few bad years at the wrong time can derail everything. This risk is highest right when you retire, usually in the first 5 to 10 years. That's when your portfolio is most vulnerable because it hasn't had time to adjust to your new spending patterns and you're no longer contributing to it. Yet, most people build retirement plans based only on averages. They assume if I get 7% average, I'll be fine. But averages lie. It's not about what you earn, it's about when you earn it. The solution, your withdrawal plan, should be built with a defensive strategy during those early years of retirement. That might include a cash buffer to avoid selling in down markets, and a bucket strategy to separate long-term and short-term funds. How about a dynamic withdrawal rate that adjusts based on market performance? Or even flexible spending strategies that can temporarily reduce withdrawals in those very tough years. Because if your plan assumes every year will be smooth sailing, it's not a plan, it's a hope. And hope is not a strategy. Reason 4, they never adjust the plan. Most plans fail because people treat them like they're set in stone. But here's the truth. Retirement isn't a one-time decision. It's an ongoing process. Think about it. Over a 25 or 30-year retirement, your spending needs are going to evolve, your investment returns are going to fluctuate, tax laws will change, inflation will vary, and your health and lifestyle might shift significantly. Yet many retirees build a plan at age 60 and they never touch it again. That's like setting your GPS before you go on a 3,000-mile road trip and then ignoring every detour and roadblock and fuel warning along the way. Here's what happens when you fail to adjust. You keep withdrawing the same amount even if the market downturns. You miss out on new tax saving strategies as the laws evolve, and you don't account for changes in your expenses like a mortgage being paid off or healthcare costs starting to go up. You fail to adapt your investment mix and your changes over time. Worse, many people don't even notice these warning signs. They just assume they'll be fine because they had a good plan once. But what is good at 60 may not be smart at 70. The result is overspending or underspending, paying more in taxes than you need to, taking on too much risk or not enough, and ultimately facing unnecessary stress in retirement. What's the solution? You need a retirement plan that's monitored, updated, and stress test regularly. Now that doesn't mean starting from scratch every year, but it does mean reviewing your withdrawal strategy on an annual basis and rebalancing your investments, updating your tax strategy, adjusting for inflation and changes in expenses, and making course corrections as your life evolves. Think of your retirement plan just like your health. It needs a regular checkup. It's not a one-time diagnosis. And with tools and advisors that can help you track this over time, it's easier than ever to stay on course as long as you stay engaged, because the plans that fail aren't usually bad, they're just outdated. So let's recap the 4 terrifying but preventable reasons why withdrawal plans fail. Number 1, they use outdated rules of thumb, like the 4% rule, without customizing it for their real-life needs. They ignore taxes, and they end up handing more to the IRS than they need to. 3, they withdraw money the wrong way, tapping accounts in the wrong order and triggering penalties or unnecessary taxes. 4, they never adjust the plan, and they end up following a blueprint that no longer matches their reality. But here's the good news. You can avoid all of this. Retirement success doesn't come from guessing or hoping that it works. It comes from building a strategy that's tailored, tax efficient, and flexible enough to evolve with you. And that's exactly what we help our clients with at Southern Incomes. If you're approaching retirement or already in it, and you're not 100% confident in your withdrawal plan, let's fix that. The earlier that you make smart decisions, the longer your money's gonna last. Click on the link in the description to book a call and get personalized help building your tax-efficient, flexible withdrawal plan that actually works for you.